The night evil cried. It's 2:45 a.m. and I sat in my grungy hotel room with a box of 2-day-old pizza sitting on the bed, letting the roaches and mice fight over the last few pieces. An ashtray filled to the brim and bottles of beer piled on top of each other on the other chair across from me. I sit by my window in a dim light holding a pen pressed against a paper, ready to write my last words. But something stops me from dragging the ink into the trail to form letters. Occasionally crying as my apologies echoed back and forth in my head. So many apologies. I watched the rain hit and splatter on the window still just beside me, and I began to think if this whole thing right now is worth it. Is the 9mm in my mouth even an option? It seemed logical at the time, knowing the things I've done, the people I hurt. This wouldn't be justice, but it would bring me a new kind of pain the next life has to offer. Maybe I deserve it. It takes me around 10 minutes to write out what I need to say and to finish my last bottle of beer. I thought I was drunk enough, but apparently not. Oh well. I lay down the pen and leave the note in the open for someone to find. I assumed someone would hear the bang and call the cops to find me with my head back and a hole out the back of my head. I sit back in my chair and light one last cigarette, holding the gun in my hand with the hammer pulled to its maximum. Looking down the barrel with my finger lightly pressed on the trigger, I scoff at the thought of something so small can be made a killer. I find my cigarette and flick it out the window, and without a warning for myself, I put the chamber's end in my mouth. Counting down in my head as one of my favorite songs starts playing on the radio. How fitting. I close my eyes, tightly hoping this would be painless as possible. 1, 2, 3. I quickly pull the gun out of my mouth with a loud sigh of relief. I catch my breath while sweating profusely, slicking my hair back with both hands, frustrated and annoyed with what I hesitated to just do. I stood up and walked to the door, opening and turning away without looking, and walked over to the bed to sit down, holding my head in my hands. As I threw the crumpled bedsheet over the cannon, "What do you want?" Closing my eyes, trying my best to gain my composure. "Can I talk to you for a minute?" A voice replies in a warm, whispering tone. Might have just been the beer affecting me, but the person sounded familiar. "What is it?" "I ain't got no money or drugs. Not down with that shit," I say. The person, blocked by darkness, sits on the other side of the bed, calmly, as I looked over at him with my peripheral vision. "What's up?" "I just need someone to talk to you for a few minutes. Can you spare it?" I rub the back of my neck and grab myself another cigarette and light it. "Sure, whatever, man. Spill your guts," as I blow the smoke upward, wiping the sweat from my eyes, and continues to talk. "I feel really guilty. I got something I need to get off my chest and need to know what you think. Some time ago, I left my dad's home because I felt like I wasn't appreciated, like he loved others more than me." I scoff as the cigarette bounces between my lips. "Siblings, huh?" "Yeah, I guess you can say that. I left also because I was envious, jealous, and wanted it all to myself. And it started a huge fight in the family. Others were hurt, and Dad threw some of us out, and ever since then, I've been doing so many bad things. All this rage just gets me, and I do one bad thing after another." I look over my shoulder with a smirk on my face. How bad can they be, huh, bud? Really bad. The kind of stuff you feel proud of, but know it's wrong, and keep doing it anyway. I throw my head back and laugh while pulling out the gun from under the bedsheet and point it upwards. Is it this bad? I look over at the stranger, and he doesn't even flinch at the sight of my gun, which I find to be unusual, cause who isn't afraid of guns these days? The stranger looks over his shoulder at me, and I can barely see his face, even as I squint curiously, and I notice something off about his face. His body, figure, hair, and smell. It's a lot worse. I quickly stand up at the sound of his voice, sounding like multiple voices all talking at once, saying the same words. I feel a panic in my heart that I've never felt before. The gun in my mouth didn't scare me that much, but this sudden feeling I got was something entirely different. Pointing the gun at him as he stands up, as his eyes start to glow a yellow fire, like glow within his pupils, and starts to walk towards me. His face slowly starts to come into the brighter side of the room, light, and I freeze, in fear at the face I'm looking at. He takes a few steps forward as I stumble back, dropping the gun to the floor, and he rests his hand on my shoulder. I look at his face, and I can't believe what I'm seeing, like looking into a mirror. His face looks just like mine, tears running down the side of its face. This person or thing, sorrowful and grieved as he looked me with his glowing red yellowish eyes. Do you think my father would forgive me? He would let me come back home? My throat closes up, and I manage to mutter the very few words I can let out. Maybe he would? I don't know. Who are you? Pulling back his hand and wipes away his tears and turns away, walking towards the door, slowly leaving me in disarray, speechless and scared, and he turns one last look at my direction and whispers, "Lucifer, thank you for your time, friend," and walks out of my room, calmly closing the door, and my breath comes back into my lungs. A heaviness in my chest lifted as I started to have a slight panic attack. I sit back on the bed, collecting my thoughts at what had just happened. Hallucination? Caused by the drinking? A dream, perhaps? I don't know. I sat that entire night, packing my things, and head out the hotel room, back on my shoulder, and now I am currently on a bus back home, hoping to find some kind of redemption. Threw my gun off a bridge and coffee in my hand, hoping to sober up soon. Even as I write this, I wonder why the devil himself came to me, asking a question I couldn't really answer. But if the devil is brave enough to find forgiveness, then maybe I got a shot. It's worth a try if he's trying.